Welcome friends, welcome to EPG Patashala. I am Dr. N. Janardana, working as additional professor in the Department of Psychiatric Social Work, NIMHANS, Bangalore. Today let us discuss about addiction. So we all would have seen people in the community who have been consuming alcohol and creating problem to their family and a nuisance at the community, and sometimes we will be helpless, so we do not know what need to be done. So let us understand how addiction is a problem and how that can be understood, and how interventions can be provided for person with who is been consuming alcohol or been dependent on drugs or being dependent on the technology, and creating problem for not only for himself and also for people around him, and families have been facing the problem. So let us understand what is addiction first. So there have been a lot of substances which have been used by people. The substances include tobacco, alcohol and illicit drugs. Drugs, it can be pharmacological drugs, or it can be like a heroin, ganja and etc. And this abuse has become a major problem worldwide, and India is no exception. Most youngsters are getting into such addictions, and it's not only affecting their personal life but also affecting their family life and their life in the community. So addiction is associated with significant morbidity and mortality and contributes to global burden of all diseases. Many accident cases being reported in the hospital where under the influence of alcohol, people would have been driven their vehicles and met with an accident and lead to loss of death and contributes to mortality, and also lead to morbidity in terms of significant impairment either in their cognitive functions or losing their lower limbs and affecting their bodily structure, which would lead to further complications in their life. It has a significant impact not only on individual sufferer but also the family and the society, because individual lives in the family and in the society. It has its own impact, and it's not only person would suffer but also people around him also would suffer because of his addiction problem. Drug dependency is considered as multifactorial health disorder that often follows the course of a relapsing and remitting chronic diseases, and it's been consuming a lot of our health resources in terms of treating people who are facing addiction problem, and it has become a serious public health problem resulting both from alcohol and other drug consumptions. The various types of substances people have been using, as I said earlier, it may be alcohol, tobacco, tranquilizer, opiates, marijuana, cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine and stimulants. I have seen people who consume cough syrup. Cough syrup in a day, some 10 bottles of cough syrup they would consume, and even that is considered as a dependency. I've seen people who take sleeping pills. So they gradually start with one tablet and then increase it to 2, then 3, 4, 5, like that it will go on, and then they would become dependent, and without tablet they may not be able to get sleep and show all withdrawal features if the drug is being withdrawn. So causes of substance abuse, if you have to understand, it can be biological factors or genetic factor. We have seen a lot of studies where been conducted where substances use have been like over generations it has been used, where father used to consume alcohol, then son also learnt and he also started becoming dependent. So some genetic factor also play a role in terms of contributing as a causative factor for substance use. A lot of psychological factors, which is like emotional distress, anxiety, depression, when the person is having low self-esteem and emotional problems, unable to face the stress and the depression level, the person may get into an drinking pattern of behavior which may lead to addiction. Family issues also been contributing. A lot of fights, an unhappy family atmosphere can also become a causative factor for a person to start with alcohol and then it become as a behavior. Skill deficits, and the person is not able to like build his own skills in terms of dealing with the day-to-day pressure and day-to-day demands, can also become a causative factor for a person to consume alcohol. Social factors like peer pressure and environmental stress also have been leading. Among the peer, it is always recognized that a person, if he consume alcohol and be part of the peer, so he would start with that and later he may continue the behavior and lead to dependency. If you have to look at the individual level, a person faces the impact of alcohol or addiction at the individual level. It can be person faces physical health issues like internal organ damage, mental health issues. If the person been consuming alcohol for a quite long time, it affects the liver, and the liver in turn would affect the other internal organs within the body, and its risk for infectious illness, injuries and accident is going to be more and lead to a lot of interpersonal issues. And it has also been known cause for sexual dysfunction. Person who consumes alcohol for a longer duration, it may affect their sexual desires and lead to dysfunction also. At individual level, definitely it would have impact on in terms of the his finances and the economic part of it, and have problem work related issues where his performance would come down, relationship with colleagues may get disturbed and end up with losing a job or shifting job frequently, not able to sustain himself and build his career, and often lead to legal complication, particularly under the influence of alcohol when he drives vehicle and met with an accident, or under the influence of alcohol picking up fights with the neighbors or people around in the community and getting into legal complications also. At family level, the impact will vary depending on the role and the gender that the individual with substance use has in the family. Family issues, domestic violence, couple problems, parenting issues are some of the common issues associated with substance abuse. We have been seeing families where the night time under the influence of alcohol, the person would be like screaming, shouting and abusing the mother, like abusing the either children or the wife. At the daytime, in turn the wife would start abusing back because of the bad behavior in the night. So the couple will not get time in terms of disclosing their distress and coming to some conclusion, and some way it would have been contributed for the behavior. The family fights would have contributed towards the behavior. And expressed emotion in the family, it also acts as a causative factor, and also it affects the family, and expressed emotion need to be dealt with as part of the treatment process. If expressed emotions are not taken care, the person may not like to be abstain himself from the alcohol. The small incidents in the family can make him relapse and go back for alcohol consumption. So if you have to do the assessment, assessment would start with the intake. So where again we need to collect personal information like name, age, sex, address, economic status, occupation, living situation, whether he is living alone or with the family. If it is with the family, who and all are staying, is it an extended family, joint family or nuclear family. All this information need to be gathered, and information from multiple people and their involvement, if crucial in treatment process, also need to be taken a decision at the time of intake, whether I need to involve persons who have accompanied him to the hospital, everyone, or do I need to take only the important key persons who are living with the person. So that decision, the person who is making an assessment need to take a decision, and how these people would have an impact in terms of treatment process also need to be considered at the time of intake. We need to collect a good history about drug use. So age at first onset of use, when he started and under what circumstances the person started, and personal reasons for initiation and continuation, effect of drug, and change in effects over time, change in quantity. So when the person started, he would have started with a small quantity and it started increasing, and how that gradually got increased. So that need to be recorded, and pattern of use also need to be like recorded. Is it like he would go alone and drink, or he would go with the friends, and drink, or they use drugs with the friends, or he would use alone, that pattern need to be looked at. Is it only during the evening times that person would drink, or from the morning itself it would start? Is it weekend? Those patterns need to be understood. In the frequency of drug use, last use of drug, when the person did use, and previous attempts of abstinence, in case if he has, like usually we see in South India people who go for temple, particularly for the Ayyappa temple, they would abstain themselves from 30 days or 40 days, and then once they come back from the temple they would start consuming alcohol. So we need to understand that such previous attempts of abstinence, and under what circumstances that abstinence was done. Is it for religious purpose, or is it for self-decision, and the reason again the person relapsed also need to be looked at. We need to also understand the consequences of drug use, which can be again physical in terms of injuries, infections, sexually transmitted diseases, whether consumption of alcohol or drugs has led to seizures, and need to look in terms of psychological consequences, like whether the person is experiencing depression, anxiety, any behavioral changes being found over a period of time, and its consequences on the family in terms of his occupation, financial and legal, all need to be looked at. So we also need to establish ourselves the dependence pattern, where need to understand the craving, whether the person is having craving and how he is managing his craving, and loss of control, tolerance towards the drug, then withdrawal symptoms, salience, harmful use, current problems, which can be both physical, psychological and social, need to be looked at, so that we will be able to determine whether the person is dependent on the drug or not. Other assessment include past history, treatment history, family history, personal history and premorbid personalities, where we need to look in terms of past medical history, in case if the person is having any medical condition, and then any treatment for medical condition need to be looked at, and family history of similar consumption or similar dependency within the sibling or with their parents need to be understood. Then personal history, as we understood in the case history taking. So we need to understand what type of person this personality would be, and how much importance he gives towards the emotion of others, and how he mixes with other people. All those things need to be understood. And premorbid personality also plays a very important role, so that we would make in some assumption with regard to how the premorbid personality would have contributed towards his alcohol consumption. So we need to look at in terms of assessment of motivation, whether it is person expressed desire to give up drug use, or reasons for the same, past attempts and plan to change lifestyle. In most of the time when they come to the hospital, it will be always the parents' pressure through which the person would get admitted. We need to know whether it is through parent pressure he want to abstain, or if there is some motivation for himself that he want to abstain. Is it because of families, like children pressure he want to abstain himself? That need to be understood, which will help us in making our plan and intervention. Basic concepts and diagnostic criteria for addiction. We have certain basic concepts which we need to understand. Harmful use is a pattern of psychoactive substances use that is causing damage to health, like repeated usage of alcohol can lead to physical complaints like a cough, liver get damages and other parts get damages, but he may not be under dependency, but he would be using it frequently. So our second stage is the withdrawal state, where the group of symptoms of variable clusters and severity occurs on absolutely a relative withdrawal of a substance after repeated and usual prolonged and high dose use of that substances. So onset and course of withdrawal state are time limited and are related to the type of substance and the dose being used immediately after abstinence. The withdrawal state may be complicated by convulsion. During the withdrawal state, the person would have a strong craving and would have tremors in the hands, and only once he consumes alcohol, these tremors would come down. He may not get sleep, adequate sleep. He would have problems in sleep, and also doesn't feel appetite adequately. So all these symptoms would constitute as part of withdrawal state. A strong desire and sense of compulsion, that what I had told earlier. Difficulties in controlling substances, taking behavior in terms of onset, termination and levels of use. You would say, like, today I may not drink more than one peg, but end up drinking up 4 or 5 pegs. so that he would lose control over himself and whatever the decisions he would have made. So evidence of tolerance such that increased dose of psychoactive substances are required in order to achieve the effects what he was getting. The lower doses would not give the kick what he feels as a benefit of alcohol. So he need to increase his consumption so that he would enjoy the effect of alcohol. So we need to know the evidence, like a pattern how it has been increasing, so which will help us in understanding his withdrawal state. A physiological withdrawal state when the substance has ceased or been reduced as evidence by the characteristic of withdrawal syndrome for the substance or use of the same substance with the intention of relieving or avoiding withdrawal symptoms. So in the withdrawal, the tremors will be like when we ask him to show his hands, the hands will be trembling. So once he consumes alcohol, this trembling would get reduced. So this physiological withdrawal we need to understand. Or sometimes he may have severe anxiety type of symptoms. So once he consumes the alcohol, that anxieties would go up. So progressive neglect of alternative pleasure or interest because of the psychoactive substance use. The activities what it was giving as a pleasure for him would decrease. Like spending time with the children would be a pleasurable activity, but he may not like to spend time with the children. Rather, he would go for consumption of alcohol as a pleasurable activity, and he would lose interest with his friends. So earlier that would have been a pleasurable activity for him. He may not like to maintain any contact with the friends, or like to maintain contact with friends those who consume alcohol, and his friend circle may get changed. Treatment for addiction. So it requires a multi-pronged approach for its management, where it need to have a multidisciplinary team. It's not just a psychiatrist alone would require. We would require a psychiatric intervention, clinical psychologist intervention, psychiatric nurse intervention, psychiatric social workers intervention, then occupational therapist intervention, rehabilitation person intervention, and various self-help group interventions also required. Biomedical modalities focus on improved detoxification regimens, anti-craving medication, antagonistic medication, substitution treatment, and other pharmacological approaches. When the person is immediately admitted in a de-addiction center, the person would experience withdrawal features of craving, then tremors, not getting sleep. So that need to be treated. The person need to be detoxified for all these symptoms. That anti-craving medication would help them in terms of overcoming the initial phase of withdrawal. Once the person settles down, then we need to talk in terms of what are the other interventions need to be provided so that he can abstain himself. Psychological treatment modalities range from addiction counseling to psychodynamic and cognitive behavioral treatment modalities, including insight-oriented psychotherapy, behavioral therapy, family therapy, and motivational intervention. The cognitive behavioral treatment also plays a major role, where we would help the client to understand the cognitions when he get the craving and when he get the desire to drink, how to understand the cognitions and how to change those cognitions are discussed during the cognitive behavioral treatment. Family therapy and marital interventions play a very major role in these families, where families would have faced the burden and would have reached to an extreme state where they would have not been supportive towards the person. So family support is required for person to be abstaining himself from the alcohol. So we need to do intervention with the couple and also with the larger family, and help them to understand the ways through which they can help him to be abstaining himself from the alcohol or from the drugs. So families play a major role. And we also need to do intervention in terms of socio-cultural treatment modalities, which include community reinforcement approaches, therapeutic communities, vocational rehabilitation, cultural specific interventions need to be provided. Other interventions include motivational interviewing, where a directive client-centered style of interaction focused at helping the client to explore and resolve the ambivalence about one's substance use, and thereby move through the stages of changes. The person would have come to a de-addiction center, where he would have come with the pressure of the family to get admitted and undergo the treatment. So from that stage to the person should get motivated in terms of I really want to be abstaining myself and understand the impact on his personal life, family life, and on his health, so that he would make attempt to abstain and give full efforts in keeping away himself from the drugs. There are 5 principles which guide the practice of motivational interview, which are called as dares and frames. So under dares, it's like develop discrepancy, then avoid argumentation, which can be from both family and from the person who want to abstain himself, a role with resistance, that is dealing with the resistance, then express empathy and support self-efficacy, and more detailed description has been given in the notes. So you can go through those notes, and which are self-explanatory, and it will help us in understanding how to avoid argumentation, how to roll with the resistance, and express empathy has been clearly been explained. So another guide towards motivational interview is called frames, where a feedback is given to the person, and a responsibility person would be made responsible for whatever the decision he would make and whatever the impact it has happened on his life in terms of individual, family, and at the community level impact would be explained, so that he would be made responsible for his behavior and he would be made responsible to take decision. Advice will be given in terms of abstaining himself, so that he would be able to recover from the physical damage whatever been occurred, and also look in terms of the psychological damage recovery and damage what happened to the family and on children, which can be recovered, and help him to go back and take the responsibilities of the family and the children. And we also need to frames also talk in terms of self-efficacy, how he can sustain himself and build the skill of refusing whenever his friends been asking him to force, or under the company of his friends, how he can handle the situation need to be understood. Under motivation enhancement therapy, which is we called as MET, there are different stages, like pre-contemplation stages, where people do not consider change. They let their drinking behavior persist. They wanted that to continue because they don't feel it as a problem. That is called as a pre-contemplation stage, where information about the client and the problem help the client ventilate feeling about their problem, impact of the problem, and people around need to be done. Then avoid confrontation as a therapist, educate about alcohol and drug, focus on rapport building, encourage and appreciate any expression of the desire to quit alcohol. So if you start confronting, the person may not come back to us for the treatment. In the contemplation phase, acknowledge that there is a problem, considering cost and benefit of changing the drug taking behavior. The person himself would come in that contemplation stage, where he would acknowledge that there is problem and this problem need to be overcome. So assessment include assessment of the client's feeling and cognition about his or her drinking, drug use behavior. As a therapist, we need to facilitate and analyze the pros and cons, help to have a realistic appraisal of good and bad things about like consuming alcohol or drugs. In determination preparation, the person would be making a decision to quit either drug or alcohol, and to do something for quitting it. So assessment include choosing to give up drugs and committing to specific goals. So reframe the person's ability to make the changes, reaffirm it, and help the person to make a goal for himself. In the action phase, take action to stop the drinking behavior. So assessment include achieving the goals by taking concrete steps, help him or her lay a definite plan of action. In maintenance phase, sustain the modified behavior of drug-free living, continue to take steps and strengthen the commitment to give up alcohol. As a therapist, try to involve the significant others and see how they can help them in terms of making a pleasurable activities for the person, so that he would not go back for alcohol as a means to get pleasure. In relapse prevention, we need to understand the basic terminologies like lapse and relapse. Lapse is a period, the initial episode of a drug use following a period of recovery, where a person would go back and say, like, I will have a controlled drinking, I would go for one peg and have a control over it, then it is called as lapse. Relapse is a condition where the person may not have control over himself. He would go back to the previous pattern of consumption of either alcohol or drugs in order to get the pleasure even after a period of abstinence. So these two terminologies need to be understood, that the person is under lapse or relapse need to be understood. If the person is under relapse, the person need to be again brought back to the treatment de-addiction center, and treatment need to be initiated. If the person is under the lapse and able to have a control, so caution the person and help him to have a control drink in case if he wish to have a drink as a social drinker. So always better to abstain, but if you want to be a social drinker and have a control over it, so it can be discussed with him and allow the client to make a decision for what he wanted to achieve. There are factors associated with relapses which are as follows. Affective, like negative and positive mood states like happiness, sadness and overconfidence, all these factors would associate towards the relapse. If the person has been experiencing sadness, so chances of getting him relapse is more. More pleasurable activities like happiness and can also creating such an environment can also help him in terms of abstaining himself from the relapse. The behavioral factors which contribute towards relapse are poor social skills, problem solving skills, faulty coping strategies, impulsivity and anger can contribute towards the relapse. The person is having poor social skills, not able to interact with others and not able to spend time with others and which lead to a pleasurable activity, may feel lonely, and he would feel alcohol as the only way he can come out of his loneliness. And not having adequate problem solving skills and faulty coping strategies would also force the person to get relapse and then face the consequences thereon. Cognitive factor which include the attitude towards recovery, the level of cognitive functioning and poor motivation. If the person really doesn't want to abstain himself and always thinks about so when he would go and drink and drinking as a pleasurable activity, always his cognitions are towards it, then the chances of relapse is going to be more. Physiological, like as I said, craving, withdrawal symptoms, body aches and chronic illnesses can also contribute towards relapses. If these physiological withdrawal symptoms have been handled properly and an adequate alternatives being provided, then the person would abstain himself. But the body aches, particularly many people would come back to us and say, I am a coolie worker, I've been working from morning till evening, end up with body aches, and alcohol is one way. It kills my body aches and relaxes my mind, and I can have a good sleep. That is one reason why they want to like relapse as one of the reason most people would come back to us and report. Like environmental factors which can be like social pressure, occupational problems, poor family support, unemployment, peer pressure can also contribute towards relapses. Relapse prevention therapy can be grouped into three categories where we need to work towards enhancing their coping skill training, cognitive behavior therapy and lifestyle modification, where skills need to be equipped for the patient to handle difficulty lifestyle situations without resorting to substance use. Cognitive therapy, as I already said, that attempts need to be help the client to recognize and understand the cause of their problem and teach them the skills necessary to overcome them. Lifestyle modifications which include family spending quality time with the person, so that the time of his alcohol, the pattern time can be skipped, and if the family spending activity itself becomes a pleasurable, it can replace alcohol, and that lifestyle modifications need to be added on. And spiritual exercises and spiritual activities also can enhance their mental power to abstain themselves from the alcohol. Other management techniques include handling craving and triggers, which we call it as 4 Ds: delay, distraction, drink water and deep breathing. So this can be practiced whenever the person is having a craving. make the person to delay that craving and distract himself. Instead of consuming alcohol, drink water, take deep breath, which will help in terms of dealing with cognitions, and also this craving can be looked. And all this would help in the cognition in terms of making him to take a decision to abstain himself from alcohol. Drink refusal skills, like informing before that I have been abstaining and I have taken a treatment, resisting, coming out with an alternatives instead of like in a group going for alcohol, what is an alternative way of activity can be looked at, redirecting and threatening, dealing with the faulty cognitions, sleep hygiene technique. When if the sleep disturbance is a reason for person to go like consume alcohol, we need to talk in terms of how sleep can be enhanced through hygienic techniques. Positive addiction, hobbies or pleasurable activities need to be identified and encourage the person to do the thing. Family plays a major role in relapse prevention. Like realize that alcohol or a drug dependence is a disease and not a moral weakness or a lack of willpower. It's considered as a disease, and this disease has treatment which need to be considered, and the person need to undergo treatment, and the treatment is really going to help the person to abstain, and family also can lead a happy life. Do not argue or quarrel, justify his or her use of substance, or take up the responsibility of covering up for the consequences of substance use. Do not suspect, for example, don't start questioning whether he has had a used drink or not, especially when he comes home after the day's work. Do not make phone calls to his friends and colleagues to check if he is drinking or using a drug. Pay extra attention to his needs in terms of nutrition, medication, health. Do not discuss his previous drinking or drug use problem with others. Now we have come to the end of this module. So we have learned today what is addiction and what are the different state of like harmful use, withdrawal state and dependency, and factors contributing towards relapses, understood the concept of lapse and relapse, and we also looked in terms of various interventions being available for person who have been facing the problem of addiction. It starts with pharmacological intervention to psychosocial intervention and therapeutic interventions such as cognitive behavioral therapy, psychotherapy intervention, and how motivation enhancement need to be done. I have shown 3 models of motivation enhancement, how it can be done, and how as a family can play a role in terms of relapse prevention, and how as interventions are required. It's not just individual intervention, we require intervention at the family level and at the community level. Then only the person would be able to abstain himself from the alcohol. Thank you, friends. If you have more interest in reading, you can read the material what been provided as part of this program. And most of the material being self-explanatory. It has been written in a very simple language, avoiding a lot of technical jargons. So the one-time reading would help you further understand and comprehend what you have been listening in last 30 minutes now. Thank you.